We all make mistakes. We all make mistakes. I don't care. The greatest mother that ever lived makes mistakes. Everybody makes. Is there somebody here who thinks that they don't? I thought I heard somebody protesting, because if you don't think you make mistakes, you're in the wrong church. This is All Souls Church. You're looking for All Saints Church. We're not. I can't be the minister of All Saints Church. I'm not good enough for that. But I can be the minister of All Souls Church, and we know that we all make mistakes. I'm always reminded of the joke about Saint Mary. You know, Saint Mary, mother of Jesus, who were told, born immaculate conception and makes no mistakes. So she's the saintly one, and so it's a retelling of the story of Jesus in the temple with the adulterous woman. You remember she committed adultery, so she was up to be stoned in front of the temple. All the people were there. They had their rocks. That doesn't say anything about the man in the story, about where he was. I didn't see him rushing up there to help her out. But anyway, so she was going to be stoned to death, and Jesus gets in between them and her. He stands next to her and he says, "Hey, will the one who has not sinned throw the first stone?" And so in this telling, he's standing up there with her, and all of a sudden a rock comes whizzing right past their face. And he looks out there, he goes, "What? Mom!" Oh. But for those of us who are not as pure as Mother Mary, those of us who do make mistakes, mercy is our friend. And we need some mercy sometimes. It's a funny thing about mercy, though. We all want it for ourselves, but we're not so much, wanting to give it out to other people. When we get pulled over for speeding, we want to get just a warning. When we're late for work or we crash the computers at the company, we don't want our boss to fire us. When we fire off a text by mistake to somebody, we hope they'll just delete it quietly and not tell anybody else. We all want mercy for ourselves, but when it comes to giving mercy to other people, we're not so nice and merciful. And yet they say that mercy is the one act in which we can be closest to God. Because as God gives mercy, we too can give mercy to others. I was looking recently, there was an article in the New York Times. It was an article about an incredible story about a woman, young professional woman, white lady. She was on her way to Africa, and she was just tweeting to people in the airport. When she got to the airport, she's tweeting some stuff, she's kind of joking about some guy she saw with a funny toupee or, this or that. She's just making these kind of joking tweets. And she's on her way to South Africa. Well, when she gets to London, I think it was, which was her jumping off point to get to South Africa, she's tweeting, remember, to about 175 people that she's sort of, feels like she's friends with. They kind of know her. They know her sense of humor and whatever. So she tweets a little tweet that she thinks is ironic and kind of funny, and she feels like the people who she's tweeting to, they know who she is, so they know her sense of humor, so they know she's just kidding. And then she gets on the plane for 11 hours to go to South Africa. And in that 11 hours, her Twitter account blows up. Somebody retweeted, somebody saw it, somebody else. See, she was this white lady on her way to South Africa, and she said, "I'm on my way to South Africa. I hope I don't get AIDS." She said, "But I'm American and I'm white, so we don't get AIDS." Now she's thinking in her mind that, I'm just making fun of the privilege that I have and Americans, and people think this kind of stuff. It's crazy. So she thinks she's being ironic, but that's not how people read it online. So this thing, by the time she gets to South Africa, it is the #1 trending tweet on the internet. Millions upon millions of people have seen it all over the world. She's the most notorious racist in the world. They're starting to tweet, when she gets to South Africa, I hope some people are there to meet her in the airport and take a picture of what she looks like when she sees people started a hashtag to fire her because she actually worked for a prominent PR company, and so they were hashtag fire her, hashtag to her company, you need to fire her, and actually somebody did make it to the airport. So that when she gets off the plane, she turns on her phone, all of a sudden her friend is texting her saying, call me right away when you get in, because her friend's trying to take down her Twitter account. She can't do it. And so she is texting on the airplane coming in, and she's reading, I need to call this person. She ends up calling. She finds out what's happening. She's got all these things popping on her phone about her Twitter account. And the people in South Africa, in the hotels that she's going to stay in, they won't serve her. Her own family, she has some family over there who she was going to visit, and when she came, they said, we don't do this. This isn't us. We're not like this. You've embarrassed all of us. This is a shame upon all of us. When she got back, she got fired. She not only lost her job, but she had a nervous breakdown. She couldn't find other jobs. She couldn't even get a date. Years have gone by now. And the thing is, every time somebody meets her or she applies for a job, the first thing they do is they Google her name and they find all this stuff about her being this racist. So what I'm trying to say is that there is, in this article I was reading, there were 6 other people that they interviewed who had lost their jobs or otherwise had their lives turned upside down because of something dumb that they posted on Facebook or Twitter. And there's this new kind of public shaming that we do now. Somebody posts a joke, reposts a joke. It doesn't matter. They say, hey, I was joking. They take it down, whatever. People are vicious. And they will just, and the thing is that we're so disconnected. We don't know each other enough. We don't know who the person is. Someone forwards your tweet. You thought it was, or email. You thought it was just to them. Now it's all over. So there's this new kind of public shaming that happens. And there's the internet. Even though it's connecting us all over the world, it's also disconnected us from each other's hearts in a new way. I love this story from a colleague of mine. I think he's passed now. His name was Reverend John Nichols, and he told a story once about a World War I. Is a German soldier in World War I who was walking through some sort of far out area where there were some foxholes, and he gets down into one, and it turns out he gets down in, and there's a soldier dying, enemy soldier, in an enemy uniform is dying right there, and he walks in, and he sort of takes pity on this guy, and he takes out his canteen and he gives him a little drink of water, and this gentleman who's lying on the ground dying takes the drink of water, and he's so happy to see somebody in this last moment of his life, and so he starts talking to him about his children, about his wife, about his home, and he actually points to his pocket where he has his wallet, and he asks him to take out his wallet. The man takes out his wallet, the German soldier, and he opens it up and he starts showing the man pictures that he has in his wallet of his kids and his family and his wife, and the German soldier is just weeping as he's watching this man crying, looking for the last time at his own family. And he was overwhelmed with the tender feelings that this man, who he would have shot in a second, moments before, for being an enemy, he could recognize the connection to the humanity, that this man too has a family, has children, has a life, people he cares about, and people who care about him. And if we were to look into each other's wallets, what would we see? We would see those things that connect us to one another, those pictures, maybe now on our phone, or we would see that ticket stub from that performance that we loved, and the fortune cookie thing, and the other things that humanize us, that we carry around, that help us realize who we are, and we would know who is next to you. If you want to just pass your wallets up here right now, well, I'll start reading. All right. No, but you understand what I'm saying, that there's this human factor, that often the things that separate and segregate and divide us are often cause us to miss the essence of the deep, deep and profound connection that we really all have if we could get down beneath the surface of it. There's this idea, you may have heard me talk about this before, of how we all have a trophy wall. If you imagine yourself as a home, your life and yourself as a home, we all have in the home of our lives this trophy wall where we put all the things we've accomplished, all the things we're proud of, it might be a diploma or it's an award or a medal or a literal trophy, could be a picture of that big fish you caught or some elk head you shot, or some exotic vacation place you've got up there that you've traveled to. And when we meet new people, we like to bring them, oh, come on in, and let me just show you this, just how beautiful, the things I've done. This is where I've been. This is what I've accomplished. I've got this degree, and I just want to show you all that. But over here on this wall, we have all of the pain and the struggles and the hardships and the failures and the shames and the difficult things we've been through. And the thing is that when people come into our lives, we're trying to direct them over to here. Hey, look at all this. And we're trying to avoid talking about and showing people any of that. But actually, the truth is that that's the wall that connects us to each other. That's the wall because I know what it's like to lose somebody, and I know you know, or will know if you don't, what it's like to lose somebody. And I know what it's like to struggle and to fail. And so when we talk about those things, we begin to humanize each other and we begin to connect at a deeper level. So I really want to encourage you as you bring new people into your life, don't be afraid to share your pain. Because that's what connects you most deeply and what connects us to each other. My mistakes, I've made so many mistakes in my life that I've had to become really good at apologizing. I think that every mistake that could be made by somebody who grew up the way I grew up, I made each one of those mistakes. And so I've had to learn how to apologize. And as a dad, I was talking about mothers, but fathers too. I mean, we make a lot of mistakes. And I've made so many mistakes as a father. I was just the other day, my daughter, I have an 8-year-old daughter, and we were getting ready for school. And, I'm barking orders at her like one of those chefs in the Hell's Kitchen cooking shows, She didn't know whether she was supposed to eat her breakfast or take her medicine or brush her teeth or put on her shoes. She was so confused. She started crying. She said, I felt so bad. I go, honey, what's the matter? What? And she said, Dad, you're stressing me out. And she was right. I was just, it was like a machine gun, Come on, you got it. And so I just backed up and I said, hey, honey, I am so sorry. You're right. I'm sorry. Just let's take one thing at a time. And we got ready. But she, what she said to me? She said, that's okay, Daddy. I still love you. I've got more mercy from this little 8-year-old girl in her lifetime than I've gotten from almost anybody else. And God bless her for that. The thing is that we don't know what's going on in people's lives. When we meet that rude waitress or that jerk who's checking us out in the cashier or something like that, we don't know what they've been through. We don't know that if they've just been evicted, they've been told they're going to be evicted from their apartment. We don't know if they just found out that their child has a really terrible diagnosis, or they do, or someone else. So we don't know what they're going through. And so we just start barking back. And that's where mercy, about what does it mean for us to be merciful to people, to see their humanity, and to be even more kind when they're being like that to us, to be even more kind to them. Imagine what that would mean to them in that moment if they're going through something. You remember in the olden days they had those pillory where you get in there, the stocks, if you did something wrong, committed adultery, stole something, they'd put you in the center of town. This is when there was more rural, and they'd put you in there, your head was sticking out in your arm. You have to stand there and be disgrace of the whole town or village for a period of time. People would throw water and spit at you as they walked by and make fun. The kids would run by and wave their fingers at you and call you names. And did you ever wonder what happened to that? why we don't have those and that kind of public shaming. Now we have Twitter. Yeah, we could tweet. Dude, we could tweet. There's an app. There's an app for that now. Well, it's interesting because I always thought that it went away because of, we became more urbanized, and so it was, we're more anonymous in these big cities, so people just didn't do that. But it turns out that there was actually a campaign to stop it back in, it was 1787, right around then, and the person who was leading that campaign is a medical doctor who was also a signer of the Declaration of Independence. His name was Benjamin Rush. He was also one of the first Universalists in the United States of America. Benjamin Rush, signer of the Declaration of Independence, a medical doctor who also understood the gospel of inclusion, what Bishop Pearson brought to us, what this church has talked about for a long time. But he was somebody who believed that God was merciful, so merciful that God would not send anybody to hell to burn forever. And so he said, what are we doing? He said that the pillory, he said, public shame is worse than death. It's a worse punishment than death. How come we do that to people? And he went on to say, we seldom find truth, real truth, until we make errors and come to the end sometimes of our errors. In other words, we all make mistakes. And that's how we learn. And that's how we grow. And we've sort of lost in our culture now this ability to make a mistake and be forgiven and find mercy, and particularly this online community and all the things that happen online. So I want to just talk about how, in this community that we're trying to build here at All Souls, with all these different people, with different backgrounds, different ways of being in the world, even different beliefs sometimes, how is it that we're trying to be with each other so that we could be merciful? And one of the things that we do here is we have this concept, I just learned about it recently, is ouch and educate. So that when somebody says something that you go, ow, that didn't feel really good, the first thing we say is, well, they're in this church. We're all one family. I'm going to give this person the benefit of the doubt that this is a good person. This person's not racist or homophobic or sexist or whatever it is. And I'm going to say, hey, I just want you to know that what you said, that was very hurtful for me because of my background, or this is what I've been through, and just teach them. So ouch and educate. It happened to me. I was teaching a building your own theology class the last 3 weeks, and in my last class, the third week, somebody said to me, Pastor Marlin, I just wanted to say what you just said, that felt kind of insulting to me. And I thought, oh, okay. And so I listened, and she was right. I used the wrong word. It wasn't the word that I wanted to use, so I used the wrong word, and it was insulting, really, what I said by the way that I phrased it. She knew that wasn't in my heart. That wasn't what I was trying to do. So she told me. Afterward, it was funny because after the class, she came up to me. She said, was that okay? Are you okay that I said that? And I said, oh, I'm totally fine with that. I really appreciate it, actually. It's how I learn. It's how I grow, and it's how I can do better, because I'm talking to a lot of people, teaching, preaching to a lot of people. I need to know if I'm offending somebody. So it was really helpful. She said, I never would have done that ever before coming to All Souls, especially to a minister. So it's good. And so here's my challenge to you for this week, this month, if you could take it on for a month, but at least for a week. I want you to, as you go out and experience people in the world, when somebody is treating you poorly, I want you to be even nicer than you would to that person, even from before. We can be like God in giving mercy to other people, even when they don't deserve it. Because we all make mistakes. I know Nicole, who helps me out here, she's got this eraser somebody gave her. It's about this big, and it says, for people who make big mistakes. So sometimes I need to borrow that. I wish it was so easy that we could just erase the mistakes. But there is no eraser big enough to erase all of our mistakes, but there is enough love. There's plenty of love. Love from each other and love of God. And we are meant to be filled with love and to be vessels of love. So we have all sinned, but let us not be those who carry stones and throw stones. Let us be those who follow what Jesus said, to love our neighbors, even love our enemies. Let us do as the greatest mothers among us have taught us to do, to love, to be merciful, and to be good to one another. Can you do that? Yes, sir. Will you do that? All right, this week, come back. I want to hear the stories about it. I want to hear what you did, what you learned, how it transformed somebody, what connections you made. Let us be merciful this month, this week. This is the time to do it. God bless you. I love you. Amen.
Let's all stand together. You're my brother, you're my sister, so take me by the hand. Together we will work until we're done. There's no foe that can defeat us when we're walking side by side. As long as there is love, we will stand. You're my brother, you're my sister, so take me by the hand. Together we will work until we're done. There's no foe that can defeat us when we're walking side by side. As long as there is love, we will stand. Take somebody's hand if you can. Let's sing it. Oh, you're my brother, you're my sister, so take me by